Hello, friends. Thanks for being here. It's currently Sunday, February 13th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. My name is Nick. I go by Nobody Caribou on Twitter, and I'm the Bitcoin team lead for the Ottawa Freedom Convoy, which essentially means I'm the primary liaison between the Bitcoin community and directors of the Freedom Convoy nonprofit organization. I'm also on the ground speaking to truckers every day here in Ottawa to keep a pulse on how things are going and what everyone needs. So this is going to be a quick brief, but basically an update of where we are right now and what the plan is going to be moving forward so that everyone who donated kind of gets an idea of what we're doing. I want to start by thanking everyone in the Bitcoin community for their generosity. I know that some of you have sent sats that you had in cold storage that probably never planned to part ways with. And on behalf of all truckers, Canadians, and freedom-loving humans around the world, thank you. Thank you very much. What started as an effort to raise a few million sats to send individual truckers in person turned into a massive global effort to fight for freedom by using the world's hardest, fastest, and most freedom-centric money. So we hit our ambitious goal of 21 Bitcoin, and although we're going to keep on-chain donations open, we're now focused on securing and distributing the funds. One observation I think is really cool that I've made is that every sat received is essentially a vote for freedom. And we've received over 2.1 billion votes. So it turns out a lot of people value freedom around the world, and especially Bitcoiners, which is unsurprising, but very cool to see. So I think something that's important to note is that although there's groups gathering in many other Canadian cities and as at certain US-Canada borders, as some of you might be aware of, they're gathering for the same reasons, but they are independent manifestations of Canadians standing up. The information I'm going to cover today pertains only to Ottawa, and that's the only area that I'm personally involved in and the only area I can speak for. And this is the area, this is the front line, this is the epicenter of where the movement started, and this is the city that we're raising funds for. So just quickly to reiterate why this is happening for anyone that's not aware. Canadians have gathered here in the Canadian capital to exercise our constitutional right to peacefully assemble. Those who have come here made a sacrifice for everyone else. To essentially hold the line. Many have left their families and homes behind in order to come here and claim their freedom peacefully and without violence. And that is what it has been to date, despite what other people might be hearing from other sources. Why are they here? It's pretty simple. Politicians have crossed the line. They're not honoring the supreme law in our country, which is the Constitution and the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That is being breached, and Canadians are now being harmed by our government, both physically and mentally. So that's why we're here. The truth is that current COVID-19 mandates are unscientific and, quite frankly, inhumane. This must stop, and the Freedom Convoy has led the movement to hold the line, which is now catching on around the world. Bitcoin funds are being raised to support the courageous truckers as they continue waiting to be heard by politicians who claim to serve them but aren't acting like that. And humans from around the world have repeatedly had their financial donations seized, frozen, and GoFundMe even attempted to steal donations. And so Bitcoin is now the only secure option. The monetary energy we've accumulated so far is to support Canadians in their effort to hold politicians accountable by exercising their legal right to peacefully assemble. That's very important to note. The Canadian government, the City of Ottawa, and the Ottawa Police have prevented people from supporting these heroes, but there is a technology that cannot be stopped, and that's Bitcoin, and that's why we're doing this. So I really think this is an opportunity to show the world the power of Bitcoin. And by donating, you're helping individual truckers as they continue holding the line here in the capital. So 3 things I want to cover today. Number 1 is an updated wallet strategy for the Ottawa Freedom Convoy. Number 2 is our plan to distribute funds to truckers starting immediately. And number 3, I want to share some of the challenges that we faced on this assignment. First up, updated wallet strategy. So there is currently a nonprofit organization registered federally in Canada called Freedom 2022 Human Rights and Freedom and Freedoms. You can verify this yourself for free online by going to the federal government corporation registry. So a Nunchuck multi-sig wallet is currently being created or will be created in the coming week with the directors of the nonprofit as key holders. And from a security perspective, we feel that a collaborative custody approach makes the most sense. We realize that Nunchuck is a young company, but based on time constraints and the technical understanding of board members, this is our best option right now. So the team at Nunchuck have been tremendously helpful and supportive. Hugo and Darren have made themselves available around the clock for technical support if and when issues arise. And we've also used Nunchuck Wallet already in interim wallets leading up to this final wallet. So right now we're working to aggregate funds from all the outstanding Freedom Convoy wallets that were created at different points in time. The only exception to that is a hot wallet for our ground team, who are giving peer-to-peer sats to individual truckers, small amounts. And we're putting all this into an interim multi-sig, which will then go to 2 destinations. Destination 1 is a hardware wallet controlled by the nonprofit treasurer. This will be about 20% of the funds. And then the remaining 80% will go to a multi-sig wallet with directors of the nonprofit as key holders. So the hardware wallet is for funds that will be used immediately, which I'm going to explain next how we're going to use them. And then the multi-sig will serve to hold the bulk of the funds until they're needed. And when they are needed, they'll be migrated in batches to the hardware wallet, which will then be sent to an off-ramp to send to truckers. So let's talk about getting funds to the truckers. Right now, we're working closely with a well-known Bitcoin-only Canadian exchange to begin getting funds to individual truckers. As some of you may know, TD has been compromised, TD Bank, and has frozen $1.4 million of donations to the truckers from some of which were from the GoFundMe, some of which were from Give, Send, Go. So we can't start sending those. And the remaining Give, Send, Go funds are currently in limbo, and lawyers are fighting to make them available to the truckers. But in the meantime, we can start using the Bitcoin. So options that we're going to offer the truckers, we're going to offer to pay their credit card bill, and we can even actually overpay their credit card bill so that they have cash available to withdraw. We're also going to be using e-transfers, direct bank deposits, and potentially gift cards. So those are the current off-ramps that we're going to be offering to truckers. We're going to start to gather information from individual truckers about their financial needs. And if all goes to plan, we're going to be able to begin sending funds within 48 hours if all goes smooth. So like I said, with the fiat donations being held up illegally basically by corruption, because this is people have a legal right to peacefully assemble, and Canadians have a legal right to support Canadians doing legal activities. So it really is frivolous. And, Bitcoin really has become the only method of distributing funds, and it can't be stopped. There's ongoing local peer-to-peer support, which continues on the ground. Everyday Canadians coming to the capital are giving truckers cash on the street, sending e-transfers. Tons of people are donating cash into these big empty water jugs at food hubs, which is then being distributed to truckers. The local support has really been overwhelming and much higher than expected, which is why it took us a while to realize, what are we going to do with these funds? So in addition to helping individual truckers, other potential use cases that may come up are legal fees, fuel, if we need to buy bulk quantities of diesel, and also bulk hotel room bookings, if applicable. I think one thing I'm realizing is that this really is an endurance game. I myself realized recently the importance of recovery, a good night's sleep, a warm shower, a quiet space to recharge. It really is crucial for mental and physical health as we approach the 2-week mark for many truckers. So booking bulk hotel rooms might be an appropriate use of funds at some point. I want to talk about a few of the challenges that we faced. And, this project is a pretty high level execution, both in its importance, with Bitcoin essentially being our only option right now for immediate availability of funds, and also its scale, right? There's a lot of funds that have pooled unexpectedly, but in the most amazing way. So we faced lots of challenges, none of which we haven't been able to overcome, but I want to talk about the 2 big challenges that I've seen firsthand. The first one is an education challenge, okay? Especially with Bitcoin, the board members of the nonprofit are new to Bitcoin. It can be very intimidating if you don't understand it. And also the reality that the people involved on the board most of them are on the ground here in Ottawa and are very busy right now. And when they aren't busy, they have very little extra bandwidth available to be briefed about Bitcoin and to implement custody strategies. So, the ideal and optimal multi-sig from a security and privacy perspective would be something like a cold card with a Spectre desktop wallet. But the reality on the ground here is that's a big ask for newbies and an impossibility considering the circumstances. So that's why we're going with Nunchuck. It's our best option. It's a very user-friendly interface, and we have a great support team on the technical side that will walk through the directors of the nonprofit to make sure that they get set up properly. There's also been a coordination challenge, right? Getting multiple busy people in a room to coordinate action and have focused sessions to make sure we do this right has really been a challenge. like I said, everyone's super busy behind the scenes helping to hold the line. And so those are kind of the challenges that we've been facing, but we're working through it and we're doing well. So just to kind of close, what began as a small scale parallel funding system to be used for things like food, fuel, and hotel rooms has essentially become something much bigger. And Bitcoin went from being a redundant parallel funding stream to being an essential failsafe and sort of our contingency against fiat corruption, which through this whole process, through this Freedom Convoy event, the fiat corruption in the legacy system has been put on display on the world stage. So I think really this is a powerful time for Bitcoin to be able to show the world the power that uncensorable money has when done right. So we also underestimated the level of local support to keep truckers going, but we now have a plan to put funds to immediate use and use these sats to put these sats to work for the truckers. So I'm going to remain a liaison on this assignment until every sat has been put to use, and we'll provide continued updates to the Bitcoin community to keep everyone informed about what's going on. And I'm also available on Twitter if you want to send me a DM. Although with that said, I've been saying that a lot more these days, and the DMs are kind of a disaster. So I'll do my best to answer everyone's questions. And when able, I will tune into spaces if anyone has questions there. So thank you for your attention. Thank you for supporting this movement, and ciao for now.